What's up YouTube, Playmat here, and welcome to part 3 of how to make the best side deck. Before we start, I just want to give a huge shout out to Robert Berman and Nick Gibson. We did a really great stream the other day. It was like 3 hours long, and yeah, it was really cool. We might do another one soon, so watch out for that, where we just talk about pretty much all the Yugioh news of the previous week. If you're interested in seeing that video or in his channel, I'll leave a link to his channel in the description below. And moving on to this video. Okay, so this video is all about comparing two cards. Obviously, there's loads of different choices against the meta at the moment. You've got so many different cards against Cliffort, so many different cards against Burning Abyss, so many cards against Shaddoll, you know, that you could choose from to side against them. And I'm here to kind of talk about how you can compare your own choices. So like I said, this video is all about comparing two similar cards to side against the same deck. My absolute first bit of advice would be make a pros and cons list for your cards, with questions on there like, does this card make you plus, or can it make you plus, or is it in fact a minus? So things like Max C versus Flying C against Burning Abyss. Flying C you should, will always be a -1. You know, you're always going to be losing a card from your hand and putting a card on their side of the field. Obviously there are a lot of beneficial effects to having Flying C in place. However, it is going to be a -1 if you use it on a tour guide, for example. Whereas Max C, you should never be using Max C just in their turn in case they inherent summon. You should be chaining it to any of their chainable special summons. So as soon as you chain it, it's a 1-for-1, and if they choose to give you that +1 or +2, that's based on the player and how much they think they can afford to risk whilst playing under Max C. So when it comes to card advantage, Max C is much better than Flying C. But there are other things to ask, and you can kind of make this pros and cons list of, like, you know, how much does it debilitate your opponent? So does it stop your opponent from playing the game? Is it a floodgate? How long does it stop them from playing the game for? And do they have any main decked outs to it, or any cards that you know for a fact are going to be sided in to be an out for it? So things like Vanity's Fiend, Majesty's Fiend, they'll just be, they'll tribute the Flying C to summon, and then all of a sudden they've got a floodgate against you. So then with those two cards in the main deck that really are a problem if they use those to be an out to Flying C, how long are you able to push and survive against Burning Abyss as a result of usually stopping them from playing their turn because you've Flying C'd them and you've chained that to their normal summon for the turn, so they can't tribute over that turn. Whereas Max C doesn't actively end the opponent's turn in the same way. They can choose to continue their turn, but they are having a much higher risk because they're giving you another card every single time they special summon from that point onwards. Another thing to consider is things like Trap Stun versus Royal Decree. They're both chainable, they're both traps, but Trap Stun can be a -1. Royal Decree can't really be a -1. So there's kind of that's the kind of card advantage side of things. However, how easily can this card be outed, and what outs in the main deck of the opponent? What outs is the opposing deck going to have? You can't chain MST to Trap Stun to stop Trap Stun going off, but you can chain Mystical Space Typing to Royal Decree to stop it from going off. So these are all things you want to consider, and at the moment everyone's playing triple MST in the main deck for Clifforts. So unless you're a deck that your opponent's going to be siding out their MSTs for, then you're going to be wanting to not use things like Royal Decree because your opponent is just going to be having triple MST, and you'd be better off playing your own traps. So the next thing I kind of want to give as an example is Spellshouting Arrow versus Fairy Wind. When comparing Fairy Wind and Spellshouting Arrow, I made my own pros and cons list, and this is what I found. So when it comes to the actual damage, Fairy Wind stops being playable once your life points get to a certain point. So once your own life points are low enough, you can no longer play the card without losing the game. Obviously it's quite low. If you're only using it against 3 cards, then if you've got less than 900 life points, then obviously you'd lose if you played the card yourself. I think damaging your own life points is quite painful, and I don't like paying life points against Cliffort because they can already OTK really quickly, and if you're just making it that bit easier for them. So that's my first kind of issue with the card. The next one is about it being a trap. You have to set it for a turn before it's even playable. So they can do things like wiretap it, which a lot of the decks are playing triple wiretap, or trap stun if they're playing trap stun, and Mystical Space Typhoon in the end phase. And I just think obviously traps are like the slowest thing and most easily negated thing. However, when looking at Spell Shattering Arrow, there is no point in the game where you can't activate it against your opponent when they have face-up spells. Your life points are never going to be too low to play it, and you can activate it as soon as you draw it. And when you think about things like time on the round, that's really important because let's say you draw Fairy's Wind and it's your last turn in the whole time in the round to deal any damage, and your opponent currently has higher life points than you do. Obviously, Fairy's Wind is a completely dead card. You can't play it because it's a trap, so you're not going to get a chance to activate it. Whereas Spell Shattering Arrow, obviously, and the other thing with Fairy's Wind is obviously that you deal damage to both players. So when it does come down to end of match procedures, Fairy's Wind isn't actually helping you win the game or deal any more damage to your opponent than they're able to do to you anyway. However, Spell Shattering Arrow, for example, deals 1,000 damage if you kill 2, and obviously the worst case scenario is that it deals 500 damage, destroying 1 face-up spell. So this got me thinking about time in the round when looking at other side cards. Obviously, when you're siding in for Game 3, you're almost always going to be at risk, if you do go into Game 3, of going into time in the round. So you have to really consider life points, taking things out like Upstart Goblins, Solemn Warnings, because obviously they tip your opponent, the life point balance in your opponent's favour, Soul Charge. And then there are other things like Mistake versus Thunder King Ryo. Thunder King Ryo is a body and can deal 1900 damage, whereas if you're desperate to deal damage and draw a Mistake, it's obviously rubbish and isn't going to help you advance that life point game state. So yeah, just in general, when you're thinking about side cards, can they inflict damage? There are loads more questions in my first 2 videos that you can write on your list of your pros and cons list as to which one does that job better. So I suggest you do that, you watch part 1 and 2, and in order to make the best possible side deck for the next tournament that you're going to, it's really good to follow that pros and cons list and the information in the first and second video. And my next video in the side decking series is going to be all about side decking for locals, and I'm really excited to make this video, and I'm really excited to bring it to you. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this series so far, guys. Thanks for watching. Playmatter signing out. Thanks for watching this video, guys. From now on, I'll be giving away 1 pack with every one of my videos from prize support that I've received at tournaments. If you'd like to win one of these packs, all you have to do is like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment on this video. The winner will be whoever leaves the most interesting question or the best comment on this video. I will then private message you on YouTube and send you your pack for free. Till next time, guys, Playmatter signing out.